allow that. Hey, there we go. It's picking up now. Can you hear us now, Dave and Linda and Amiga Nuts and Paul? Hello, Paul. Lovely to see you.
All right, I think we fixed it. Did we fix it?
Did we fix it? Can you guys hear us now? Because we're such professionals.
Yeah, we're right out here on the cutting edge of technology. Yes.
Yeah, this is. Oh, thank you, Paul. Love you,
Hallelujah.
Paul. Okay,
We have
so
sound. Okay.
for those of you who don't know, this is "I'm sorry" in American Sign Language. So that's what I was doing. I don't know much. I don't speak it. I don't sign really. But I had to learn some in various moments of my life, and so I was sorry that you couldn't hear us. I'm also wearing a on this side. Hello, Love is Love badge. So Linda. Some for you there, because it's so true. And all right, yeah. So we were just watching Secular Sexuality. They ran a little long, and they're fantastic. And I really, really appreciate everyone. I'm so sorry you were waiting. We appreciate you guys being here. Right. Sorry, but you have to run away to sleep, Dave.
Dave sleeps?
You sleep?
You sleep?
Surely not. I'm
Sleeps.
doing an obnoxious accent. I'm sorry. You can be annoyed with me, Dave. You have every right to be. Okay. All right. Good night, Dave. We love you. Sweet dreams. Don't fall asleep on anyone you're fucking. Okay. So he goes from a stream. He's gonna be so mad at me. I know it was a medication. All right. So what's our topic?
Well, we've a whole board.
Yes, we have a whiteboard that has things written on it. And stuff in my handwriting, which is terrible.
At no expense.
Oh, no. I used to be a teacher. So anyway, so our sources for this little bit of information.
Delightful bit of American politics.
American politics that's going to go into, I think, an interesting debate because I think you and I actually disagree on something.
It seems that we do.
Which is rare. We're very compatible, which is cool. But it's also really nice to disagree on an idea level and be able to talk it out, so I'm very excited. We'll see who changes whose mind. I think it's interesting. And I wouldn't bet either way. I would not put money on this. So anyway, sources are American Atheists News and Blog, and also Senator Hawley, Hawley. So I assume it's pronounced Hawley. Now he's a senator of Missouri. We live in Tennessee, so I've never heard of this dude before, but I went and double checked the source from American Atheists, and this is also from his Twitter stream. There's a whole thread you can read. Now, if you don't know about the American Constitution, that's totally cool. Not everyone does. And
a lot of Americans don't.
A lot of Americans don't. Unfortunately, apparently,
including the president.
Well, the president definitely don't. But here's the weird thing. Senator Hawley is a constitutional lawyer, or was before he was a senator. Sometimes our politicians forget that their jobs as politicians are temp jobs. Those are not forever jobs. We vote them in. We can vote them out, in theory anyway.
And when they forget stuff like that, they say dumb shit like this.
Yeah, so this is what Senator Hawley claimed in a tweet today. He claimed that I am furious. He used the word furious. To hear that the SBA, which is the
Small Business Association,
is wrongly in all caps. He's yelling at us via Twitter. Wrongly in all caps, telling churches and lenders that, and here I'm going to paraphrase in the quote, that churches and other nonprofits cannot benefit from a government stimulus package that is for small businesses. Now, if you know, the first thing I said when I read this headline, just the headline on the American Atheist page, was that is a direct violation of the Establishment Clause. How does a fucking senator not know that? And then when I looked up his Twitter feed and saw that he's also a constitutional lawyer, I realized, oh, he's just being a fucking politician, right? I mean, he's totally kissing up to his constituency in Missouri, which is tends to be very conservative and tends to be Republican. It was a border state during the Civil War. It's all weird. And
hi, Maya. Welcome.
Hey, Maya.
Paul, I'm going to get back to your question here in a minute because that's messed up.
Oh shit! Yeah, absolutely. So he's a constitutional lawyer, so he knows better, and he's clearly sucking up to his constituency, and he does it in a long series of really obnoxious tweets. So, first of all, the stimulus package is for small businesses.
Businesses,
and we have something called in our amendments, in the Second Amendment.
First.
Yeah. Oh, motherfucker. I'm so sorry. First Amendment.
First is churches and speech. Second is gun.
Yes, second is gun. Sorry, y'all. And yeah, the Second Amendment needs work too. But just some common sense would be nice. Anyway, so the Second Amendment has two things. It has the freedom clause and the establishment clause. Okay, so there's the freedom of religion clause, which is literally a clause in a sentence that Thomas Jefferson drafted that essentially states, there will be no prohibition of the free practice of religion, right?
You can do whatever religious shit you want. The government can't say nothing about it.
Exactly. As long as I'm on private property because of prudish laws, I can dance naked under the full moon if I want to and call it a religious practice, and that's absolutely fine. And more power to you. I have done that. It's fun. But I'm an atheist, so I don't really care anymore. But at the time I wasn't, and it was fun. So, whatever. But the establishment clause is the government shall establish no, I'm missing a word.
Shall make no law an establishment
regarding an establishment of religion. That's it. And so what that did essentially,
or prohibiting the free exercise thereof.
And that's the free exercise part of the clause. So the first part is the U.S. government is not allowed to tell you what religion we're going to practice. You as an individual are going to practice.
Or the country writ large.
Right. At the time, we were having a revolution against Great Britain, and King George, the something or other, third, yeah, was not only the head, because of Henry VIII and how he set things up, was not only the head of state, he was also the head of the Church of England. And that was what our forefathers did not want. That's what our founding fathers, I said forefathers, that was a mistake, sorry. Our founding fathers did not want. They did not, most of them were deists. Maybe a couple of them were nominally Christian. You could argue that. I think with Jefferson, maybe you could make that argument, but certainly Franklin was no. Anyway, they're not going to get it. Not into getting into individuals. I don't like Queen Elizabeth I. I don't seek to make windows into men's souls. It's none of my fucking business. The point is, The point is that the Establishment Clause is there to protect not only religion from government, but everyone else from any government-established religion. And what we have right now in the U.S. are, and it sounds crazy, y'all, when I first read about this, I thought this is a conspiracy theory. This can't be real. Nope, turns out it's fucking real. We have Christian dominionists who want to ipso facto, like, I don't know, go back in time, which they can't do, or at least for now, make America, the United States of America, not Canada or Mexico, sorry, but make the United States of America a Christian nation. And we never were one, and we aren't one. And that is fucked up. So, what was the question that Paul asked that was so awful? Yeah.
He said, do you know about the UK couple that had a farm? The local church billed them for a new church roof using an old law and won. They had to sell the farm to pay the church.
Oh my gosh.
That
I did
is some leftover medieval shit.
That's fucked up, sir. I did not know about that, Paul.
If I had to write a quick story about that, I'm sure that they're probably the only ones living on the old you know, the old church area where back in the days
Don't
of
smoke, it's bad for you.
everybody, like, yeah, don't smoke, it's bad for you. Where back in the days of yore, everybody was required to pitch in to repair the church and probably to pay the rector as well.
Yeah, that's fucked up. But
if you're the only one there and so are the only one to be drawn upon, yeah, that is
it all
fucked.
falls on you. Okay, and this leads us brilliantly. Thank you, Paul. Paul Camish, I'm assuming is how that's pronounced because of the two
coming in with
M's.
the segue.
But let me know if that's incorrect. Thank you for providing us with the perfect segue to where Junk Shop and I have slightly different feelings about. Okay, so this senator is saying that this small business bailout should apply to churches and other nonprofits. No, it should not.
They should not.
They should not. It's a direct violation of the Establishment Clause.
I say, fine. If they want to be treated like businesses, treat them like businesses. And tax the motherfuckers. Tax them to their knees. Tax them out of existence. Tax them like good Prince John.
Now, I gotta say, as much as that turns me on, and it does, I mean, if I were a guy, it would be embarrassing to be on this stream right now. If we start taxing the churches, here's my worry.
Okay.
In the United States, as the law is written and as the Constitution is written, the second we start taxing churches, they're going to argue that that's a violation of the Constitution. They're going to fight it, or they might not. The smart thing to do, and frankly, a lot of them are shysters anyway, so they'll figure this out. Not all. A lot of them are shut-eyes. They really believe what they're saying.
Hi, Angie.
Hey, Angie. Love you. Okay, so if we start taxing the churches, then we are opening that door even wider. Like we're knocking down Jefferson's wall. We're not building up that wall between church and state separation. We're knocking it down. We're saying, okay, we're going to tax churches now like your businesses. So A, you get bailouts like businesses, but B, that also means you have more of a say in our government processes than religions, and let's face it, in the US, it's mostly Christianity, than Christianity already does. And then I'm afraid they're going to be even more up our constitutional asses and our collective Bill of Rights asses about what we can and cannot do because they will have more political power if we tax them.
I see your point.
Okay.
I disagree with you.
Cool.
We haven't hammered any of this out beforehand. We didn't. We didn't talk about. As soon as we realized we had a point of disagreement, we said, "Oh, this is going to be good. We're saving this shit for the stream."
Yeah, we stopped and we were like, "Okay, we're done.
So
we're not gonna."
You're here. You're here for some fresh tea.
That's right. Fresh tea and wine and Blue Moon. I think is what you're drinking. Yes, yeah, Blue Moon. I love you too.
Yeah, I love you too.
Okay, so that's my worry. That's my worry. What is your rejoinder?
My rejoinder and or rebuttal is.
Thank you. That's a better word. That's the correct word.
We've got an amendment, the name of which I'm currently blanking on. It's like the Hyde Amendment or something like that.
In the Constitution?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. It sounded like Constitution.
Yeah.
I was just trying to think like what?
It's a later one. A much later one.
Oh, so it's not one I'm going to recognize with my number necessarily. No. Okay, fair. Sorry. Go ahead. I am not a constitutional lawyer. Neither of us are lawyers.
Yeah.
We both thought about going to law school, decided against it. We didn't do it. Go ahead.
And it's like I said, I want to say it's called the Hyde Amendment, but I wouldn't swear to that. That prohibits religious organizations from officially engaging in political activity.
Oh, yeah.
And that includes pastors being able to support or condone or ask parishioners to vote for political figures in their official capacity.
And there's a weird crossover with education as well. Because when I was a professor, we weren't allowed to endorse where like I wasn't allowed to wear buttons that endorsed a particular candidate on campus.
I think that's an institutional.
It might be
CYA thing. I don't think that's
fair.
enshrined law.
Well, I think it's a section.
It might be a state law
thing or a section 9 thing. No, it has something to do with like undue influence and power dynamics and whatever. No, you might be right. It might have just been an institutional thing, but like during the Gore, the Bush-Gore runoff, Bush the second and Gore runoff, like there was the thing, and I know, and I totally had a Gore button on my backpack and didn't know. I didn't ask my students who they were voting for. I did give them extra credit on the honor system if they told me they voted. I didn't ask them who I said, don't tell me who you're voting for. I don't want to know. I just get it. Anyway, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to derail.
It's okay.
But yeah, no, that's a point. It's basically because we've had a history in this country. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
But
sorry.
My contention is that they're doing it anyway.
They are.
We know they are.
Yeah.
Every election season, there are documented case upon documented case about preachers going up to the pulpit and saying, vote for Republican X, vote for Representative Y, because he's the one who's going to keep your fetuses safe and your guns in your hands and your dick's hard and your, whatever.
A fetus is not a baby. Okay.
And so given the fact that so many churches are already in flagrant violation of that.
Oh, yeah. They don't give a fuck. They're like honey badgers when it comes to that shit. They will straight up tell. And granted, I have not experienced. I'm sorry. I have not experienced this myself. Because I never once heard a priest like endorse a specific candidate during mass. I don't know what was said behind closed doors. I don't know what was said in men's and women's groups and things like that. And then, of course, in the youth group, you didn't even talk about that because none of us could vote anyway. And then I left the church as soon as I was, as I could point out to my parents, you can't legally make me go. I'm 18. So that was, and that was that. But and this was 20 years ago. So it may have changed, but I know of many churches who are like honey badgers when it comes to the politics shit. They don't give a fuck. They will straight up tell their congregations how to vote. Back to you, I apologize for that.
No, it's all right. But my contention is that since they're riding roughshod over that amendment anyway, and since they now want to benefit from governmental bailouts intended for small businesses.
They're meant to be saving the wages of hourly employees during a pandemic.
I say now is the time. Treat them like businesses. Tax them like businesses. Regulate them like businesses. Make them treat their volunteers with the same levels of respect and the same protections
and certifications
that businesses are required to abide by. Oversee their daycare facilities with the same level of oversight that other actual licensed daycare facilities are overseen by. Maybe look into their counseling programs depending on how they're being presented.
Yes,
thank you, Shannon Q.
Thank you, Shannon Q. And that's why I said certifications, because as I'm sure all of you know, you can go get counseling at your church where like you pray with a counselor, and I have seen this have really good effect on people in my own life, like people who were so indoctrinated, they're older and they were so indoctrinated with the stigma of mental illness that to go see a psychiatrist or a therapist, it's like admitting that I'm not quite sure how they think about it, but they just couldn't bring themselves to do it. But they could bring themselves to go to someone at their church and say, I need to talk about some stuff. And they would pray beforehand and then they talk. And I've seen it have, good effect on one person in my life. Oh, Angie, me too, right? Thank you. So if you're talking about, but at the same time, if you're talking about pray away the gay shit, fuck you. That is some bullshit. And we all know how deleterious it is. And all it does is hurt people. And I know personally people who were sent through gay conversion therapy when they were younger. And it just, it is absolute abuse. And it's absolutely vile. So don't do that. Yeah, Angie, I'm torn on this one too. I feel like I don't know enough. I feel like I had a moment, I think a day or two ago, where I was like, why the fuck didn't one of us go to law school? Because there's so much we don't know. And it's frustrating. We have all these law books here and that we haven't studied. Not gonna lie, haven't read them. They're here because a lawyer was retiring and he was getting rid of them and we couldn't bear to see them go in the trash. So we brought them home and we're like, yes, one day we will read these. And yeah, hasn't happened.
Yeah, well, speak for yourself. A fascinating reading.
Oh, yay. God damn, I love you so much.
I love you too.
I'm very turned on by intelligent people. That's a thing.
Angie says yes, she means a torn on this one about taxing the church.
Yeah, no, about taxing, absolutely, and about taxing the churches. I am too, because for one thing, it drives me crazy that like the Mormon church and I do have a bit of a personal stake in this one. The Mormon church got its claws into my family for a little while. One of my brothers, whom I love dearly, he's one of my best friends. We've always looked out for each other. He's the epitome of the awesome big brother, you know, like he looked out for me, he protected me, you know, but he fell in love with a Mormon chick when he was really young, when he was like 18, 19. And they got married. They had a couple of babies. I love my nephew so much, but she was just adamant that he convert. And so he did without knowing about Kolob and without knowing about all the weird Mormon shit. You know, he was like, it sounds basically like Catholicism. We already believe we're all going to be together in heaven after we die. So what the fuck? It's the same shit. It's fine. And then when she turned out to be an abusive and adulterous, horrible person, they split. And now it's like, I've got these two wonderful nephews who are not cool with Mormonism at all. And my brother has since chosen a different form of Christianity that he felt drawn to. And, yeah, it's a little annoying, but it's fine. I mean, he's allowed to be him. But the point is that, like, I do have a little bit of an axe to grind there. So I'm just letting y'all know, like, I do have some bias. And it's, I should stop. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's just given the, you brought up the Mormon church, and given the recently discovered spectacular amounts of money they're just sitting on.
Right, that's why I brought it up. I had a good reason.
Why not tax them?
Why not?
They're not doing anything with that money.
No, except building giant churches.
Giant fuck off
in
churches.
The desert. And telling, listen.
Linda says, I'm like, meh, can't sleep.
Oh.
Yeah, this is a very American conversation.
I'm sorry, Linda. I'm sorry.
Do you have similar conversations
like this
in Denmark?
In Denmark,
I don't know anything about the church-state separation or lack thereof in the land of the Danes.
And the most I know about Denmark, I got from Hamlet, Linda. I'm so sorry. I love Hamlet.
We've got cute architecture and nice simplistic flag.
Oh, beautiful flag. And a lovely, lovely landscape from what I'm seeing. Okay, sorry. Angie's getting the kids to bed. Okay, that's cool. Now we'll still
Toy
be
says
talking.
Night. I'm sorry, Toy. I didn't see you slip.
Good night, Toy. I'm sorry. Have a good sleep. Yeah, so it's just bizarre, and I really do want to point out the hypocrisy of this Missouri senator, because how dare he? Like, he's got, I mean, seriously, go to HAWLEY, capital M, capital O, from Missouri. So at HAWLEY, capital M, capital O. That's his Twitter handle. And just look at his bio.
It's exactly the sort of bio you'd expect from someone who would tweet something like this.
It's constitutional lawyer, husband of, father of, and I'm not going to drag his family into it because that's not their fault, you know, but it's just so, it's pandering to the nth degree. It's gross. It's like, dude, chill.
Amiga Nuts wants to know, was there any shunning involved?
Oh, with the Mormon thing?
Oh, the Mormon thing with your...
Well, it's really complicated, and it comes down to, honestly, it came down to custody stuff. Basically, my former sister-in-law tried to move. They had a custody agreement between Kentucky and Tennessee, and then she moved the boys to Utah without telling anyone. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. Okay. And and so
so you can imagine how well that went.
It didn't go well. So my brother took her to court because up until then they'd had joint custody, and then all of this stuff came out about how she was, and I'm not going to say anything specific because it's not my story to tell, but a bunch of things came out that weren't good. And a Tennessee lawyer, or I'm sorry, Tennessee judge rather. And if you live in the South, Angie will get this. If you live in the South or have lived in the South, it is not easy for a man to get sole custody of his children. Where it's very traditional down here. So a Tennessee lawyer ruled her unfit. And after that, I have no idea. My brother had full custody. We being me and my parents, and then later their stepmom, who is wonderful, helped raise them, and they are here. So there was no shunning in the classical sense.
Paul's got to go. He's doing a grit shortly.
Okay.
I haven't
I don't know what that is.
Clue what that means, but grit. Well,
I'm having a my cousin Vinny moment. I'm like, what is a grit?
Do good grit.
Do good grit. I guess. Yeah. Bye, Paul. Love you.
Gritting be successful.
Okay, all tucked in. Okay, Angie, so you get this, right? Like, it's tricky in the South for a man to get full custody of his children. Like, stuff has to be pretty freaking bad. So I'm not going to go into it any more than that. It's not my tea to spill. And I don't even know. Most of it I don't even know, because it happened far, far away when I was underage, and, I don't know anything. So, anywho, the point is, they're all fine now. My nephews are grown men, and we have a beautiful great nephew who is lovely, and that's all I will say about that. So, all right. So and so no, there was no shunning involved. Other than like she's bad, yeah. Of which we're aware, there was no shunning involved. No.
Robert says, where are those other 5 million subs? I know, right?
I know, right? That'd be great. Thank you, Robert. That'd be fantastic. Robert, tell your friends.
Yeah. Tell your friends. Tell your family. Tell your enemies.
If they're into it. I mean, hey, if anybody wants to hate follow me, I'm cool with that too. Or hate follow Junk Shop, we're cool with that. That's fine. Oh, Maya! Oh my gosh! Hi! Oh, sorry. My voice went really high.
That was high. Yeah, that was impressive.
I love Maya Atkinson. I love Angie too. I love all of you. But Maya Atkinson is in the chat, and it's gotten to the point where Maya and I are in so many of the same chat rooms that when I type MAY into my phone, it just automatically comes up as Maya Atkinson. Like her full name is in my phone, which is so cool to me. But hi, sweetheart. It's lovely to see you. Yeah, LOL. Exactly. Okay, so what we were talking about is, should we tax the churches, and what would this do to the Establishment Clause? Because I'm worried about Christian dominionists who are already trying through Project Blitz to make our country a Christian nation. And again, guys, oh my God, I feel so weird even saying this crap because it sounds so crazy, but we know we know it's true. It's been reported, and I mean, in so many sources that at this point it's like, this is a real thing, and it sounds crazy, but it's a real thing.
Yeah, and they're all saying the quiet part out loud. It's not like this is a big giant secret.
Oh yeah, they're not even hiding it.
This is not some quiet conspiracy that we heard a rumor of once on the deep web.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, and so junk shop's thought is fine. If they want to be treated like businesses, treat them like businesses and tax the shit out of them. And part of me wants to agree, because a big issue that I've always had was like the legalization of marijuana. Right, it's still illegal in my state. That's fine. I mean, I went to college, so yeah, I've smoked it, but I haven't smoked it in years. It was no problem for me to put down. But in terms of like for medical use, absolutely. And frankly, for personal use, I mean, this right here, this is red wine. People die because they drink too much of this. You would have to eat your own body weight in cannabis in order to OD on it. And I'm not going to say how much I weigh here, but I can tell you that is physically impossible. And I think it's physically impossible for most people. No one has ever died just from smoking a day. All right. So given that, yeah, I think it's absurd and racist that it's illegal. And we know the racist roots of that. But at the same time, no, not but at the same time. And, not a but, but an and. How does this relate to what we were just talking about?
I don't know where you were going.
I lost my train of thought. Oh my God. No, it's like drunk history. I lost my train of thought. Fuck. Okay. Sorry, guys. Anyway. Okay. So the point is, taxes. Okay. So, got it. I got it back. So the point I'm clumsily and horribly making is, that I've said for decades, like make pot legal, tax the shit out of it, put that money in education, and boom, problem solved, right? And maybe the US won't be 37th in math again. That'd be great. Like that would be a good thing. So in this instance, like so that's the part of me that had that logical step for marijuana. It has that, like, wants to agree with you.
Okay.
But
so,
okay.
What then, if you got all of those arguments on my side, what then is your counter?
What? My counter is the
What is it you fear?
The Constitution. I don't fear the Constitution. I love the Constitution. My fear is that the Constitution will be manipulated. My fear is that the moment we start taxing the churches, we end up in a situation like Great Britain, where the government is all enmeshed in the dominant religion of the culture. And now, while that has worked out very well for Great Britain, the US is like a good 100 years behind up here in terms of that. Like we are not like Dagnabbit, lovely English young lady YouTuber. She's fantastic. Rachel Oates, who is so much bigger and more amazing than us. Like she's great. Rachel Oates has talked about this, and she said that in Great Britain, you generally just assume a person is an atheist unless they tell you differently. Whereas here, the first two questions you get if you move to a new town is, what do you do? Where do you go to church? And I know you've heard it before, and those of you living in the States, you've lived it, you know it's here. But we are a minority. Black non-believers are a minority within a minority. Women atheists are a minority within a minority. So, you know, it's freaking weird here, and we all know that. Like it's almost like it's almost like the freedom of religion clause in the First Amendment gave people sort of a license to run kind of rampant, and that's how we ended up with Mormonism and all the cults of the Great Awakening or whatever they call it.
So here's my thought then.
Okay.
They are already inflicting their will upon the government. You've got Project Blitz. You've got all of these high-powered, old-money evangelicals being put in positions of power through campaigns funded by old-money evangelical families, so forth and so on.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
So,
he's right.
Given that it's already going on, I say bring it out into the light. I say tax it. I say regulate it. You've already got the coal lobby, the oil lobby, the gun lobby. If there had to be, for them to really get anything done, if there had to be an organized evangelical lobby as well, if they had to approach politicians in the halls of power and make deals with them and strike deals with the oil and gas companies and with the Green Party and with the libertarians, and if they had to engage in the system honestly.
Honestly and openly. Because they already are, as we both pointed out.
Or as honestly and as openly as anything political can be.
Fair.
But if they were a known factor and a known part of the system, they could then be combated honestly and directly as a known factor and as a known part of the system.
Okay.
And my contention is that the first solid, concrete step toward that is tax the fucking churches.
Okay.
I'm not saying tax them out of existence, but there's a lot of fucking money and a lot of fucking land that's being paid no taxes on whatsoever. And even if you only make them subject to property taxes,
just property taxes,
that's a lot of square footage you're suddenly collecting taxes on that can go to things like, shall we say, the roads on which the congregants drive in order to get there.
Or to keep up, say, the cemeteries. Yeah. You know, if that's your thing. My body's going to science, but you know, whatever. Okay.
Paul points out, he's in the UK.
Hey.
Paul points out that if we got a religious politician that's out and preaches there, he's not getting in.
Oh, brilliant. That's wonderful.
That's what I'd like to see.
That's what I'd like to see too.
Angie's got to go. She's got to go.
Oh, I love you, Angie. Good night, sweetheart. She's at our Georgia Beach. We love you. All right.
Texas.
Oh, fuck. She is in Texas. Why do I always think she's in Georgia?
I don't know.
Oh,
we're going gridding with Paul.
Okay.
He's got us on his phone.
Oh, cool. Yay. I don't know what this is.
He's gridding the roads. He said up here. It's getting cold, so he's gridding the roads. I assume that means like with
salt? Are you salting the roads? Because yay.
Yeah.
If you are, thank you for making things safer. That's amazing. Okay, I have a counter.
Oh, and yes, Linda, you're quite welcome. We're in a race now. I decreed it on Twitter this afternoon. I noticed we're both at 92 subs, so we're in a race to 100 now. I has spoken.
He has and I have nothing to do with it. I just want you to know.
Oh,
Linda,
we're in bed with Linda.
Oh, hello. Hi, Linda. Your husband and you are both really cute. Anyway, moving on. Okay, I have a counter.
Okay.
You once referred to the NRA on this very couch as a group of self-righteous, warmongering thugs, something to that effect. I'm paraphrasing. Yeah. It was right before we went to the, it wasn't right before, but it was a few months before we found out about the March for Our Lives March. Mm-hmm. And we marched proudly. With that. Yeah, proudly. Yes. It was the one time these two introverts have left our house carrying signs, really terrified because people are real damn serious about their guns here, and we were absolutely sure that something bad would happen. Nothing did. It was amazing. There were children, people, there were mothers with baby carriages, there were families, there were drag queens. It was awesome. It was so awesome. And there were every faith, every non-faith, I mean, believers, non-believers, we all came together, black, white, in Memphis, Tennessee, to say, oh, I'm sorry, black, white, Asian, Middle East, everybody, thousands, and we were all being led by these young people. And I remember, I mean, these kids in fucking high school. And as we were walking back to the car, it was you and me, and a black couple, and another couple. It doesn't matter what race we were, but anyway, the point is there were like three couples,
a variety of us, a variety of degrees of mobility,
of
all
folks,
working our way back towards our cars.
Oh, walking back towards our cars, yeah. And we got to, and we were all talking, and we realized we were all talking about the same thing. So it became a whole group conversation where I was like, you know, when I was in high school, all I wanted to do was like get fucking high and, you know, pass a test. These kids are changing the world. And this one guy was like, right? I know, I did nothing. And I was like, yes. Like, you know, so it was these bunch of like Gen X, like slacker types talking about how amazing these kids were. And, well, Gen X / millennial. And I only apply slacker type to myself. I do not apply it to you. But that's, you know, we had the option to not care as much in the 90s. We could be more ambivalent because things weren't that bad. You know, 9/11 hadn't happened yet. A lot of stuff hadn't happened yet. And that is the demarcation in my life. Like in my parents' generation, it was, where were you when Kennedy was shot? JFK was shot specifically. More than one has been. And for me, it's, where were you when 9/11 happened? And I distinctly remember the time before and the time after, and that is a big demarcation. I do wonder if this pandemic is going to be a second one, if this is going to be another one.
Oh, I think it indubitably.
Yeah, I think it will too. I think it's going to change some
nothing
things.
Else, the mass deaths are going to be remembered.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's certainly going to change something.
Yeah, it will. And
so anyway,
sorry to be depressing, but
we went charging off on that rampage because of the NRA.
Because of the NRA. There we go. I do not want a fucking Christian lobby in this country as powerful as the NRA. And if they get that foothold and they can lobby, they will be, because they're damn near that powerful anyway.
Okay.
If not arguably are already that powerful.
Okay, I see your point. I don't want that either. Here's my counter to that. There never will be.
Wow.
Because the central focus of the NRA is very pure and very simple, which is, let me have my guns.
Ugh.
And by my guns, they mean any guns I can carry or haul around in a truck.
Hang on, let's explain for anyone still watching from the UK. I know it's way the fuck late over there.
The National Rifle Association.
Yeah, the National Rifle Association.
It's Charlton Heston's fan club.
Well, he's a lovely man, but he's still fucked up now that he's gotten older. But anyway, the point is, y'all, not Charlton Heston, the NRA, the National Rifle Association. Here's the thing. You know how you guys like have to buy, I think you have to buy a license for your television, something? I don't know.
You have to have a TV license.
Yeah, you have to have a TV license.
Sort of thing.
Okay, we don't have to have that. All right, we just have to have the equipment and the ability to pick up the signal, and we're good. Hang on, I'm getting to a point. And then we go, okay, but with our cars, those have to be registered to the state. They have to know the make, model, and license plate of your car, and we pay a fee. That's $140 odd, depending on where you live. Here in Tennessee, it's a little cheaper, but around $130 to $140 odd, which is about 160, maybe 170 pounds ish, where you are, and we do that every year. Once a year, you have to renew your tags, your car tags, and then you put the sticker on the back, and cops know not to pull you over, and you're good. So here's the scary bit. You can have a license to carry a concealed weapon in this country, which means a handgun, a concealed handgun, which my father and my brother both have, but they're also both VFWs and we're Army sharpshooters, so I don't worry about them. I don't worry about them flying off the handle or accidentally, shooting someone in a weird moment, because they know how to use those weapons and they were trained, and they're both combat veterans. But a lot of people are not. You don't have to register the number of guns you have. You don't have to register the guns. That shit you see on American TV where they're like, we ran the serial number of this gun and it matches this person. That's bullshit. That's not a real thing. And I learned this last year. And I was like, you're fucking kidding me. I have to register my car with the state, but I don't have to register my assault rifle?
Yep.
No, I do not. And actually, our state of Tennessee, passed a law very recently. You no longer need a concealed carry permit to carry a concealed weapon. So you can just have it on you. It's fine. Now, this is different. We gotta touch on this briefly, and then I'm gonna back off. But keep in mind, it's very different if you're pale like me or if you're not. It's different, and that sucks, and it's evil, and it's wrong. And fuck. All right, so moving on from
So, but the reason I brought up the NRA,
all right,
is because
I brought them up. It was my fault.
Is because their agenda is essentially very simple, which is let me have my guns.
Yeah.
And by that they mean all me's, and by that they mean all guns.
And there is an African American chapter of the NRA.
True.
That I respect, because I think they need it. Anyway, go ahead. It's a
there
weird
will
place.
never be a Christian lobby that manages to boil down its demands and its platform to anything that simple.
Really?
They are too fractious.
Even with this Supreme Court that they managed to do?
You can't have a lobby whose sole, well, I mean, you could, whose sole purpose is appoint lots of conservative justices.
Well,
Even though that might be a goal, that will never be the goal. They'll never come across, they'll never be able to coalition to that. Do you have your phone?
I'm about to go turn it off.
Oh, okay.
I was waiting for you to come to a stopping point.
I'm sorry.
I apologize.
I just realized what that noise was.
That's my nighttime meds alarm. I'm
Y'all
going to
can't
turn
hear
it off.
but I just kind of
You keep the people entertained. I'll take care of it.
I don't believe that as fractious as Christians writ large are, they'll ever be able to unite to a point where they have the same kind of laser focus that a lot of other lobbies do.
I disagree.
Okay.
Yeah.
You disagree? This is why we're doing this.
I know.
We are disagreeing right, left, and sideways, and I love it.
I do too, because this is so cool. We're usually like freaky compatible.
Yeah.
And sometimes I worry. You know what they say about like couples who don't argue? You know, that like one person's always being a doormat, and that's really why they don't argue. And I mean, we're not arguing, we're debating, and it's so cool. And I'm way excited, and you're so smart, and I love you. Okay.
I love you too. You're also very smart.
Thank you. Yeah, I am. Okay, so anyway. So yeah, so my rejoinder or rebuttal to that is no, I disagree because they're already doing it. We've got Brent fucking Kavanaugh as a Supreme Justice. I don't even want to go there.
Yeah.
I will go on for way too long and everyone will be triggered. But it's like they're already doing that. They're already, like, we've watched this administration, I mean, I don't know who will save us if anything happens to our to Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Just hope. Just hope. I don't know. Send her vitamin. I don't know what we can do. Poor thing. I really want her to retire and be able to enjoy it, but as long as the shit's going on, she can't.
No.
No, so that's I think we already have a conservative Supreme Court, and it's going to get worse.
Yeah.
Unless we vote Trump out in November, which hopefully we will, but it looks like it's going to be between Biden and Trump, and so it's old white guy versus old white guy. That always goes so well for us in the Democratic Party. God damn it. Yeah, what's the chat saying?
Oh, Amiganets has to leave.
Damn
He's just buffering.
Okay, love you, man. Take it easy.
Take care.
Yeah.
You are valued and appreciated.
You are. Oh, it's grit salt. Okay, so we were right. It was salt.
Linda says she saw a documentary about guns in America.
Oh, it's terrifying.
And the person making the documentary was Michael Moore.
Yes.
And said in one state you could start. That must have been.
That was Bowling for Columbine. Yeah. Yeah.
Told
Great
that
film,
in one state you could start a banking account and then get a gun.
Yes, you could.
That sounds about right.
Yes, you could. This was in 2002 or 3. But
and that's if you're trying to do it legally. That's
if
you're not, buying it out of a pickup.
That was in his home state of Michigan, and he was a card-carrying member of the NRA, and that's what you had to have to get the. You did have to be a card-carrying member of the NRA to get the gun, I think. Or it may have just been open a checking account, get a gun. I'm honestly not sure. I will tell you that here, like when I go out to see my parents in the suburb where they live, I can go to the Walmart there and I can get a fishing license if it's fishing season, or, buy a rifle. It's fine. And honestly, this is something that if you are listening in from another country, like Linda or anybody else who's not from here, there are quite literally still people in the southern United States. I don't know about other areas of the country, but I actually know people who a big part of feeding their family every year is deer and fishing season. And that's fine. I have no desire to take away anyone's ability.
No exception to that.
Yeah, because also the other thing, excuse me, I'm so sorry. The other thing y'all got to remember is that we're a big country, and we have. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to talk down or anything or sound condescending. So please don't. I'm just a little drunk. But we're a big country, and like right now, for example, for the past couple years in a row, deer season, hunters have been allowed to shoot does. So if you know anything about deer and hunting, you know that normally it's not okay to shoot does. And the reason for that is we don't want to deplete the deer population. They only allow you.
And right now they're like, oh God, please
shoot
deplete the deer population.
Exactly.
They're eating the world.
And for those of you who are worried about humane issues here, it is a humane thing to do, because if we don't control that deer population, they do get, we get way more Lyme's disease cases in humans, because deer ticks and Lone Star ticks and all of that are absolutely a thing here. But also
they all starve to death.
They starve to death.
Because they eat everything.
Now, honestly, for me, give me a bullet in the head over starving to death any fucking day. I mean, obviously, I like to eat. Don't do that. So anyway, so there's that too. So if you just need a rifle to get meat for your family, I don't want to fuck with that. I have no problem with that. I don't think you need an AK-47 for that. I don't think you need an automatic rifle for that. I don't think you need what was originally designed as a city siege weapon of war, like a Kalashnikov type gun, to do that. You can do that with a regular rifle if you have any skill at all. And secondly, I don't want to fuck with people's ability to protect themselves in their own homes. You know, I know lots of atheists who have guns. Lots of atheist podcasters have guns. They have a handgun at home because they live in the U.S. People know what city they live in. And let's face it, we aren't that popular for the most part. Some of us, not us, but some people have received death threats in our community. And so these are people with, you know, families. And so, you know, no, as long as you know how to use it and you're responsible with it and you keep that shit locked up and away from your kids, I don't have an issue with that either. I do have an issue with the fact that you don't have to report to your state how many guns you have. And this is where people will fight me and go ahead. It's fine. I don't care. Fight me. People in my own family will fight me on this. I don't give a fuck. Like, you bring it. It's fine. I had a friend who had a bunch of guns because he was a collector. He's just like a gun enthusiast, if you will. And his apartment was broken into. They stole I'm not gonna remember the exact numbers, but they stole multiple rifles and multiple handguns. And he knew. And it weighed on him because he knew. He was like, these weapons that I'd collected, some of them he'd inherited from his grandpa, but like, these weapons that I collected over time, they're going to be used to hurt people. They're going to be used in crimes. They're going to be sold on the black market. Because that's what fucking happens here. And it's just a mess. Anyway, we've gone away. Sorry. We keep straying.
We wandered astray a little bit.
It's my fault.
How did we get? Oh, the NRA and the lobbies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's my contention that kind of singular focus that the NRA has,
right,
would not be achieved because what you're talking about with the Project Blitz and that kind of thing, that is much more insidious.
Oh, it's very, yeah.
That's
although they're open about it.
That's a much more spiderwebby sort of approach of getting politicians in power everywhere you can, and working them up the food chain as best you can, and so forth and so on.
And shout out to the Satanic Temple for doing all that you do to stop some of this, to increase separation of church and state. Y'all are awesome. Okay, sorry.
But say the law were to be passed tomorrow, that churches were going to be treated like businesses, and thus would be subject to the same taxes and the same oversight and the same regulations as other businesses of their size and nature.
I just had this beautiful thought of like commercials for churches with parentheses for entertainment purposes only. It made me really happy. I'm sorry, that's why I'm dreading.
Then all of a sudden you've got all of the churches saying, well, you know what? Fine. If they're going to treat us like businesses, we're going to act like businesses. We're going to buy some lobbyists and send them to Washington. And so then you end up with Mormons buying lobbyists and sending them to Washington, and the Catholics, and the Episcopalians, and the Methodists, and the Baptists, and the Southern Baptists, and the Independent Baptists, and the new Independent Fundamentalist Baptists, and the third annual reconciliatory church of the Holy Sepulchre of the Shroud of Saint Thingamus Bob.
Yeah, it's possible.
And all of a sudden, you got 300 motherfucking lobbyists descending on Washington, fighting for legislators' time on behalf of the third generation expiatory storefront church of the Shroud of Saint Thingamus Bob.
Okay, that is a good point.
It would be madness. It would be, as the kids say, a clusterfuck. It would be an absolute and total nightmare. Half of them would be laughed out of the room instantly. Half of the remainder would be laughed out of the room in the first 5 minutes. Half of the remainder would get lost on the way into the room. And what we'd end up with were, let's face it, probably the Catholics and the Mormons, just because they've got the funding.
Maybe. I feel like the Protestants, though, they really have I feel like some. Well, but you're right. They're so splintered. What do you guys think? What are you saying? And where I have to lean really close so you can all see part of the face. Anyway, what are you saying? Like,
Oh, Linda says she doesn't even know where to get a gun here in Denmark.
Oh, that's fine. We don't have one. We have lots of sharp, pointy things. There's a machete by our front door.
You can damn
Don't
near
fuck
get
with
one.
me.
You can damn near get one at a gas station these days.
Yeah, just about. Yeah.
America.
We're number 1 in coronavirus deaths. Okay.
All right. Robert points out that in most countries you can buy them illegally on the internet. Well, yes,
that's true.
Let's face it. In any country with internet, you can buy whatever you want illegally over the internet. And you just got to go to some scary fucking corners of the internet.
That's actually how we talked about bowling for Columbine earlier. That's actually how those guys got those guns. They bought them on the internet.
Of course, that was in some relatively fledgling days of the internet.
Well, it was in relative. Yeah, it was before. After Columbine, like, a lot of restrictions came in, but obviously they didn't do any fucking good, because last year we had more school shootings than we did days of the year. So
that's because people aren't keeping the shit locked up. So the parents are or the kids are just able to walk into the parents' rooms and, break the glass front on the gun safe.
Yeah, or awful, like,
drag the AK out.
Or awful new adults are doing that. I mean, it's fucking horrible. Okay. Anyway, what do you guys think? Should we text the churches or not? I have a musket. Oh, you have a musket? That's fantastic.
That doesn't do much good in an emergency. No. In one emergency at relatively close range.
Actually, Robert, and I love your name because my maternal grandmother was a Robertson, but I love your name. But Robert, you should know that that's an argument that I always think about with the Second Amendment, is that the technology has changed so much. Tax them, Robert says. Okay. Is that the founding fathers didn't say that that we could bear cannon.
Yeah.
Which was the biggest thing at the time. They said that we had the right to bear arms.
Which at the time was a muzzle loading
and I'm like
musket or a flintlock pistol.
Uh-huh. And
you show the founding fathers some of the shit you could buy at Walmart today, and they would be aghast.
Mm-hmm. And it's not like we're allowing citizens to have their own nuclear bombs, right? Which would be the equivalent of English cannon at the time. So, what the fuck? All right. Oh yeah, tax them.
And then, of course, Maya points out guns are of little help when fighting viruses.
Fair point. Thank you, Maya.
But they're selling out of guns at the same rate they're selling out of toilet paper. I don't know what kind of weird-ass Jean-Claude Van Damme movie these people think they're going to be living in. They live in a
zombie fantasy land that makes no sense. They all think it's the end times yet again.
Yeah.
It's always the end times.
It's always the end times for somebody. Some prophecies always
You know what?
True.
I gotta tell you, you look back at like the 13th century and 10th century plague, like the Black Death time, you know, all over the world. And yeah, if it didn't end, if our species made it through that, then chill. Like, it's gonna be fun. I know I don't need to tell you all this, but like, seriously, with the religious people, it's like, there will be wars and rumors of wars. Well, no shit,
Sherlock, yeah.
Anyway, I'm gonna be responsible and take my medicine on time, and I'm gonna do that on camera because.
And we've actually just rolled past the hour mark, so I think it's probably time to wrap this up.
And we hit everything on our list.
We hit everything on the list and actually did it in order.
Well, I'm still going to take my medicine on camera. This is because I'm not going to show our address. Don't worry. Because I'm okay. Some of you know, if you've been following my channel at all, you know I'm on the bipolar spectrum, and so I take a mood stabilizer. This looks really scary. It's like a shit ton of pills. The reason for that is my insurance covers 3 months of pills at a time, so I take 3 of these a day. So it's a lot of freaking pills. Anyway, but it's one of the same thing. So I take 2 in the morning, 1 at night. I also take 2 of an antidepressant, not an antihistamine, of an antidepressant at night. And there's a beautiful side effect to that antidepressant. It helps me avoid depression, which is always good. But also B, it has a lovely side effect of preventing as many occurrences of chronic migraines, which I also get chronic migraines. So that's amazing. And I started taking that largely for work because I was having to use all of my vacation days as sick days because I would get migraines so often. So, yay. Yeah, so good to live now. I'm really glad I live now. I'm not before that. BFV, big fucking virus. Thank you. He typed that. I did not. That's brilliant. Instead of BFG, it's BFV.
Well, yeah. Robert said, Maya said guns wouldn't be any good against a virus. And Robert X said, well, maybe if the virus got big enough. She said, then we'd have other problems.
Yes, we would.
And I just had this vision of like a coronavirus like the size of a beach ball just kind of bouncing down the highway. Looking desperately for something to infect, but not being able to find anything big enough to plug into.
I can't latch on to any blood cells. They're all so tiny. That would actually be good. We could deal with that. They'd spray some bleach on it. All right. Yeah, Robert, I'll take your word on that. Or I'm sorry, Maya, I'll take your word on that. There was one episode of Star. Oh yes! Oh my gosh! Yes, Maya. There was an episode of Star Trek TNG.
A giant bacterium or giant virus. Giant microorganism of some sort.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I've forgotten about that.
Maya. Oh, thank you, sweetheart. She says we're awesome together. That's very nice.
Thank you. We think so.
You're very kind. Yeah. Hey, have you listened to, well, anyway, after this, we're going to cut off here in a second, but after this, Google, Felicia Day, and, she did, I mean, you know who Felicia Day is, but, she and the folks from, the web series she did.
The Guild.
Thank you. The Guild, they did a song, and, Watch my next gen every night is one of the lyrics, and God damn it, I cannot remember the name of the song.
I'm drawing a blank. But it's one
like
of the songs from the Guild. It's
like,
relatively easy.
No, well, they did it together, but it was after. But it was like Oy, now I'm the one that's cool. That's it.
I'm the one that's
cool.
Right.
I'm the one that's cool. Okay, so check that out. Trust me, it will. If you've been a nerd, it will hit a chord.
Robert wants to know when the next stream will be.
Next Thursday at 8 p.m.
Thursday, also at 8 p.m. Or very soon thereafter. It'll be 8 p.m. Central. So it'll be 7 Eastern.
Central.
I don't have any idea what that is in Germany time.
I don't. Is Robert in Germany?
Robert's in Germany.
Oh, fantastic. Robert, I can't say what, but I work for a company that was up until recently based out of Germany. So right on.
Yeah. So next week we'll have another of our ongoing couples chat.
Mm-hmm.
Thursday night at 8. It'll be over on my channel.
Yeah.
We're bouncing back and forth between
we are
each of our channels.
And I will try to have. I'm sorry, guys. I was getting used to. I've been enjoying working from home so much, and now I realize, oh, I actually have time to do more videos. So I will.
Oh lordy, it's 2 a.m.
Fuck.
2 a.m.
Mein Gott.
2 to 3 a.m.
I don't know how to say I'm sorry in German. I know how to say like Bitterchen, which is like thank you or something. But
let's see. I am sorry. Ich habe ein sad.
Ich habe ein.
I have a sad.
I have a sad? That's terrible. Anyway.
I know, but it was the closest I got, and it's internet speak.
You know what's messed up the most about that is that my grandfather spoke fluent German, but his first daughter was born in 1942, so he was like, no, we're loyal Americans. I don't know what you're talking about. I know my name is spelled funny. It's not Fitzer, it's Fulzer. It's so. Anyway.
Yeah, so now on the other hand, if this gets too late for my overseas friends, you can always watch it back the next
Absolutely. Day. Yeah, guys, we will not be
Nobody's holding, nobody's holding you emotional hostage to have to stay up till God knows why I'm awake still.
Absolutely not.
We appreciate you all being here, for heaven's sake. Trust me, we do. This
Very
is fantastic.
Much. Oh, Maya says she'll be here. Thank you, Maya.
Yay.
I love you too. You're awesome. Maya's brilliant, by the way. If you guys have not seen Maya Atkinson in chat room, she's smart. She's amazing.
Oh yeah.
We go on Angie's thing together. Maya, if you have anything, if you want to drop any links, I don't know how to make that happen. Sorry. Oh, my bad.
She can't drop links in the chat.
Oh, because we don't know how to assign wrenches.
Yeah, you'll have to do that from your YouTube channel.
Okay, Maya, I'm sorry. I'll figure it out, and next time you will have a wrench, I promise. And yeah, because I need to do that. Okay, sorry, that's me. Oh, hey, Linda's still here. She said she was going to sleep, but she didn't.
All right. Well, we're at the 1.25 hour mark.
We are, and
I think we've outrun our topic.
I will say this. I say I am more convinced than I was before that we should talk. I won! Slow your roll, buddy. I'm saying I'm more convinced than I was. Oh, do not advertise cigarettes, Julie. Cigarettes are bad. You don't smoke them. I am more convinced than I was before. I still have reservations.
Understood.
Of which I already spoke. So, if that happens, I hope it happens the way you envision it happening.
I do understand your reservations, and I am having to consider a couple that I had not previously.
Oh, seriously?
So, I still think I'm right, but
yeah, but
I understand better some of the objections you raised.
Thank you. That's so cool.
Thank you all for being here during this informative and educational stream.
Yes, thank you all very much.
Informative and educational for us, at least. I hope you found it informative and educational as well. If you did, hit that thumbs up button.
Yes, please do. And if you didn't hit the thumbs down, that's cool too. And also Thank you all so much for being here. And please remember, you can't find truth in wine, but you can find it in reason. Can I give yours?
Everybody take care. Be safe. Stand against hate.
Seriously. Love from Memphis, y'all.
We'll see you next week. And broadcast. Yes.
This is the bit they get to hear. That's fun.